All right, people. Welcome to the Paranormal Highway. Today's cage fight is the most famous Bigfoot story, video footage, whatever you want to say, the Patterson-Gimlin Bigfoot story versus the Wood Family Sasquatch Encounter in 1984. Now, for the record, there's not one story that has a chance against the Patterson-Gimlin. Doesn't have a chance. No story has a chance against that story. That is the granddaddy of all stories. So me finding another Bigfoot story to go against it, just gonna crush it. So you know what? I gotta make this make it where the little guy is gonna try to do an uppercut on the Gimlin film. That's gonna be my film. Well, not really film. I did make a video last night, but I know there's no chance in hell. But you know what? If you're gonna do a battle, you're gonna have to pick the little guy. I mean, small, like nobody's ever even cared or heard of. That's me. So even though I know on a national level, it'll be like 99.8% to the Wood Family Encounter, 0.002, 0.023, whatever. But you know what? Sometimes it's not about the big guys. Sometimes the story is about the little guy. You got to give the little guy a chance. You know what? Because on the Paranormal Highway, the little guy will always have a chance. All right, everybody. Like I said, listen. In the real world, the Patterson-Gimlin will probably tumble every Bigfoot story out there. Probably just crush it, just because the name, the footage, and almost across the board, I would probably say way over 90% of everybody in the Bigfoot community believes that the Patterson-Gimlin story is true. I'm one of them. Believe that they caught something on camera. So putting something up against it, no matter what it is going to be a challenge. So I thought, what the hell? I'm going to put up my video. Why not? Well, not a video. I created a video late last night. I put something together, trying to recreate kind of what it might have looked like. So you guys get an idea. But, but before we start with the Patterson-Gimlin story, let's look at the voting as we speak. All right. Well, hey, listen. Patterson, 72%. The Wood Family Sasquatch, 28%. All right. Got some love. Got some love. I appreciate that. I'll take the 28%. We know there's going to be a landslide. But you know what? I don't give a shit. I'm always for the little people like us, because that's where the truth is. But just in case, if you're the rare I don't know, person out there that don't know the Patterson-Gimlin story? I mean, maybe you're one of those rare ones who never heard of the story. So if not, let's check out the video and let's check out what's made the Patterson-Gimlin so popular. King of the Hill, the main prize fighter. Let's check it out.
Next decade, national interest in the story mostly faded until October 20th, 1967, when Roger Patterson, an amateur filmmaker, set out to Bluff Creek to do a documentary on a recent footprint discovery. But what Patterson found shocked the world. He shot 953 frames of film that many believe is the best evidence of Bigfoot. You will see that film in its entirety for one of the first times on television. Patterson passed away in 1972, never wavering from his story. But he was not alone on that fateful day.
A massive bicep in the arm was, wide like that. And as it moved, you could see the muscles ripping in the thighs. In the arms, even underneath that hair, you could see the difference in the movement.
Bob Gimlin was with Roger Patterson that day, and for almost 40 years was able to stay out of the limelight and controversy. But in 2004, he did this interview recounting that.
You know what's weird about those two people? I don't know if you guys know this. They were actually enemies for a few years before they went on that trip. They weren't exactly the greatest of friends. Is it because I guess maybe in the rodeo, they both were in the rodeo, and rodeo is all about competition. And, during competition, everybody's your enemy. So just so you guys know that before they went on this journey, they'll change their life forever. They were actually at one time, they weren't friends. They're actually, some people say they were enemies, but they did something together that would change the way a lot of people look at Bigfoot. It's the one video that made people want to research the Bigfoot. I remember when our parents told us about the Bigfoot, believe it or not, we never even really heard of the Patterson-Gimlin that much. I mean, we've heard there was an encounter, but there wasn't nobody really had TVs, and there wasn't at the time when you had a VHS player, it wasn't like they had a lot of documentaries. So we didn't even really heard of the story until much later, because just the time that we were living in the 80s, not everybody had TVs. And when you had TVs, there's only 4 or 5 channels. So it wasn't like the Patterson-Gimlin story was played everywhere. But I mean, we heard story about it through the parents, but we never even really saw that footage. So when we saw our encounter, it might be a possibility out of the 11 on our journey, probably over half never even seen that footage until TV and networking got more where everybody had access to it. It's Eric's story, and I haven't either. Cool. So here we go.
Day in 1967.
The weather was great in October, so Roger said, let's ride back up in some of them areas. We rode up that way, up that creek bed away from our camp, which...
Hold on a second. I had cable in 1979. Did you live in them boondocks? Well, Danny, we lived in Kerman, California. Kerman's just right outside of Fresno, and cable was a luxury while we were kids. You got to understand. It also depends on family's income and all that. Remember, I only had one parent. I only had a father growing up since I was a baby. We had no money. I mean, we were living in a rundown apartment building that was designed for illegals that crossed the border. because we had no money. I lived next to an auction. So none of these place where I live even would have hookups for a cable TV. So, okay, cable, if you had cable TV, you're the popular kid on the block. So I don't even know when we got our first cable. But even when you had cable, it wasn't like cable nowadays where you got on demand, you got hundreds and hundreds of channels. You could probably type in the Patterson-Gimlin story. You probably have to wait for In Search Of or some channel, some show to come on to even be able to hear the Patterson-Gimlin story as kids. I mean, now, you just type in YouTube, boom, there it is. So in a lot of ways, kids are so lucky to study knowledge. It's all at your fingertips. When we were younger kids, well, unless you're gonna watch the news, but we all don't know the news don't always tell the truth, and all because you have a library, it doesn't mean the library is going to have the exact books that you need to learn for these legendary stories. So that's cool, Danny, that you were actually were able to have cable in 1979.
It was probably a couple of miles. As we came around, there's a big downfall tree with a root system in the dirt, like a crow's nest, logs jammed together. As we came around that, then, of course, the horses just blew up, and this thing was standing right alongside the creek, on the opposite side of the creek that we were on. It was massive. In the commotion of trying to get the camera out of the saddlebags while his horse was jumping around, I was watching the creature, and it was walking away. Well, the time we got the horses kind of settled down, and Roger ran across the creek, and Roger had the camera to his eye, and then he stumbled kind of and fell down on his knees, and then he got back up, and he ran over to a log that was a little ways away and stabilized himself on the log. And at that time, I rode across the creek on my horse and just sat over there. The creature makes a slight turn with its shoulders and kind of looks back. That's when I rode across the creek on the horse. That's when it made that gesture. So I was looking at it from the back. There were some trees or vegetation that was getting between Roger and the creature, and he wanted to get a better and closer. So he relocated, and when he did, he asked me if I would cover him, which meant get the rifle and see, and there was no intent to shoot this thing at all. Then the creature just kept right on walking.
At the time, it was hard for Gimlin to determine just how large the creature was, but he did find footprints.
And people asked me, well, what do you think it weighed? And I thought, well, it takes a big man to weigh 350. So I said, probably 350 pounds. We weren't here when they got an impression gauge, and of course they estimate after that it was 700 or so pounds, or it was tremendously heavier than I'd thought.
All right. So actually, hold on. One of the things I love about older days, sometimes when they cut trailers or they cut stuff, they do that voice, they do the look, and I actually got that same footage. It's an old video. Just watch, just listen. You gotta listen to this guy's voice, the way he speaks about what's going on in that event where the Bigfoot's walking. I think it's awesome. You got to check it out.
Of Bigfoot hunting happened to a longtime investigator by the name of Roger Patterson. In October of 1967, he and a friend were in the Bluff Creek area of Northern California to investigate a reported sighting of two creatures. Suddenly his horse shied as a large creature stood erect from behind a log where it had been drinking from the creek. Patterson grabbed a 16mm camera from the saddlebag and jumped from the back of the rearing horse to take the following pictures. Let's hear in Patterson's words exactly what happened that day.
As I walked across the sandbar, I was able to get some fairly good footage of it. It turned a couple of times and looked at us, and as it turned,
I I love the coloring and the voice. I love watching these old clips, these old shows, like when they rebroadcast a story, how they make it look, and the music. I mean, for a second, hold on. For a second, I thought I seen Eric while Buddy was talking. So I love the old look, and if you want to, of course, a closer look of the most famous footage ever. Here's a closer look in a way. Of course, that's without the color. I wish I could zoom in. Now, here's an older interview clip with the Bigfoot finder. This is another clip. I like listening to when they tell stories when they're young, and then when they're older.
Sighting over here, back a ways there, Patty was standing across the creek, and Roger and I rode up the other side of that, along the creek. She was standing on the opposite side of the creek from us, and so when we come around that bend, Roger was in front of me, and of course his horse started jumping around, and my horse started jumping around, and Roger eventually got off his horse, grabbed a camera out of the right-hand saddlebag, and then started across the creek running with the camera up, like that. And then the bank went up just a slight bit, and Roger kind of stuck his toe in there and fell down on his elbows. And then he got back up and went over to a partially a tree that was down, not too big around, probably about that size, and the sand had covered it up fairly well, but he stabilized his arms on that, and that's when you see the stabilized part of the film footage. And then she kept right on walking like that. I was still sitting on the other side of the creek, sitting on my horse holding him, and Roger ended up about at this angle here and said, "Bob, would you cover me?" Well, I knew what he meant, so I rode across the creek, and about at that angle.
All right. Now, remember, this is a battle. Now, hold on. Let's look at the voting. Let me look at the voting so far. All right. So far, 23 votes are put in, and the Patterson is winning 74% to my story, 24%. Hey, 24%, I'll take 24%. We all know nobody's ever going to beat the story of the Patterson-Gimlin. They're the king of the mountain story. They're going to win all the time. But for this battle, let's say, was that footage fake? Well, they were making a documentary, right? They were, you could say that this group wanted to make money, so they get a suit created, they get out there, and the idea is they're not going to be able to, with the man wearing a suit, the guy with the camera was told to jump off the horse and have the camera shake on purpose so you don't get that absolute clear shot. No, because this is all for a documentary. So the footage is all fake. It was a man in a costume. Now, of course, like I said, this is a battle. Got to come up. Now, is that a possibility? Well, I guess anything's possible. I mean, I always say, if there's a way for somebody to fake something, if there's a way, they could probably figure it out. Now, I don't know about these two rodeo guys could figure it out, but there's a way to figure it out. But some of the things that makes it hard to be a fake, and I wrote some notes down on some of the things why, if for it to be a fake, there's some things that you probably have to do. Okay, first of all, for it to be a fake, you're banking on that this footage you caught is going to work, that everybody's going to buy into it. That's what you're banking it on. You're banking on it. Everybody has to buy into it, because to keep the secret going, first of all, you got to pay to keep it secret. we got to pay. Like, well, they're the main people. Well, they're not. They're the main people out there with the camera. But listen, the customer tailoring. Okay, so if it was a suit made, well, the guy who made the suit, you're going to have to pay him to keep it quiet. And you're also going to have to pay the man who created the suit to never make another Bigfoot suit again. Think about that. Because if you created a suit that fooled everybody, you're probably going to make another suit. So I'm not saying that's not the reason why the story's not fake, but you would have to pay the guy who made the suit off, right? You're gonna have to. I don't know how much. Who knows how much exact money? So you're gonna fake it. You better hope that thing makes money because you're gonna have to pay off some people. And then you also have. Let me see here. You got to pay the actor to be in the film, and so what I mean is you have to pay the actor who's going to be in the suit. And also remember, you're on a horse ride for over 2 days and stuff. So would he be wearing the suit or would he be packing the suit? I mean, so you got an actor, you have to pay the actor. And then after it's done, if the film gets huge, then you probably got to pay the actor who's in the suit to keep quiet. Now, there's a man that said that he did wear the suit. There was a claim out there that a man did wear a suit. But after they analyzed the man and if he was in a suit, it would never measure up to the footage that they caught. So basically, the man who claims he was in a 3-piece suit, that was like nobody gave a shit. That's you could tell that was not real. And then to continue on being fake, let's look here. Now you do have to fund the trip for 2 and a large man. So what I mean is of course, for this is a 2-day trip. You have to pay for the food and you got to pay for a 7-foot guy that's bigger with the suit. So that costs money. And like I said, to make money, you got to make sure you have a return. So you got to make sure that you pull it off 100%. Okay, let me see here. And of course, also, you have to pay for the suit. Now, this is 1967, so it's not like you're going to go to a Halloween store and just pick out the most perfect Bigfoot outfit and you're going to wear it out there and everybody's going to catch it's real. To pull it off in 1967, you need a suit that when you walk, it doesn't look like there's crease in it, right? Because if you look at the footage of the famous Bigfoot footage, you can almost see muscle tone on the body. And you guys can YouTube that yourself on close-ups, analyzing the video. And most every video you see that's analyzed, the suit is toned with the body. And of course, the suit also has boobs. I mean, some people say to make it more real that they faked it by putting in boobs in the suit. I don't know about that. Two rodeo guys say, hey, make the suit more real. Let's put boobs in it. So again, you had to pay for a suit. And they say back then, for the price of a suit back in 1967, probably would be around $450. So you're going to pay a guy $450 to make the suit. Then you're going to have to pay the guy to keep quiet. And if a film gets very, very, super huge, then you probably have to pay him again to keep quiet and make sure you pay that guy to never make another suit again. I'm just saying, if it was fake. Let's see here. And also, for several years before they even went out there, the 2 of the men were enemies for whatever reason. Also, this is minor. This is a minor of why it's real or fake. Is of course, after it's done, the suit would need to be destroyed. you can't have any evidence of a suit that was used. So if there was a suit used, that suit would need to be destroyed, which I don't think that might be hard. I mean, I guess it would depend on how that suit was made if it was fake. Let me look here. Okay. Now, I'm trying to see if I miss anything here. So my overall is, let's look at the, hold on. I want to look at the footage one last time. Let's all of us look at this footage one last time. Let me get the oh shit. Oh, I'm sorry about that. I messed up. I accidentally here we go. Let's look at the footage one more time. So if that's a man, that's pretty good, right? You would have to have a 7'2". You would have to have you also got to remember this. Now, we're just going to use some common sense. I'm not going to use science or anything to analyze this. Let's just use our common sense. If you look at him walk, he's walking normal, like a regular person, like just a regular walk. You and I, we would walk like that. But ask yourself this: can we walk like that in a whole outfit, boots, and because I gotta imagine if I was in a suit that looks like that, that suit kind of has some weight, right? I mean, wouldn't it has to have some you know what I mean? Like it's gotta have weight. So if you're walking in that suit, could you keep that way going? Unless they did 100 takes. But the thing is, it's not nowadays where cameras are digital, right? You can have the person do 1,000 walks. This is actually real film. So, and real film costs a lot of money to do this. So it's almost like you only could do maybe 3 or 4 times to pick out, because it's real film. And film costs a hell of a lot of money. Nowadays, everything's digital. You can just hit delete, boom, manipulate, or whatever. So we live in a whole different world now with that. Okay. All right, people. Let me pull that down. Let me pull that off. All right. So, as of right now, I'm going to re-look at the votes. 27 votes. The Patterson-Gimlin is winning 74% to 26%. I was expecting more of a slaughter against my story. But you know what? 26% makes me feel like I'm a winner anyway. So that's awesome. All right. Now it's time. It's time for the little man, the little guy, to see if I can get in there and do an uppercut. Do an uppercut to make you change your vote from the Patterson-Gimlin to me. But before we do that, Danny just wrote something. Let's take a look. Not to mention, the footage is in the middle of the film. The film there is 45 minutes before the sighting and 30 minutes of footprints after that sighting. That is correct. And that's my point. It's not digital. So you really only got maybe 1 or 2 shots to get this. Because those days, 1967, film is way expensive. And these guys did not have backings when they're doing this documentary. They didn't have backings of money just flowing in to do this Bigfoot documentary. It won't. Oh, you can't change your vote? You can't? Once you put in your vote? Let's see. I guess you can't change your vote. Once you put your vote in, that's it. I thought you were able to change. I thought you were able to change your vote. Okay, but you know what? It doesn't matter. It's time for the little guy to take a chance to see if I can get an uppercut on the Patterson Gimlin. Now, I made this last night, guys. I made this last night. So I tried to create a video to kind of, I don't know, kind of show the timeline, how it worked out on our encounter. So this is, listen, Anthony's here. Anthony's got the great Andy that can, and Anthony's good himself too. They could put these videos together, make clips to make the story very understandable. I made this video in 1 hour last night, trying to put in some sound effects, trying to put in some music, and trying to recreate this. I don't have an Andy. I wish I had an Andy that said, hey, here's my story, here's the video, make it for me. So this is a recreation of the Wood Family Encounter. And if you don't know, we had a Bigfoot encounter back in 1984 in September. We were a family of hunters. We hunt every year in the mountains. You know, our family is Oakhurst, Fresno, Sierra National Mountains. You know, we have Sierra Mountains. We have oh my God. Oh, we'll stick with the Sierra National Mountains. And we always camp every year at a place called Poison Meadows. It's a beautiful meadow. Like, the picture you see me with the Bigfoot right here, that's Poison Meadows. That's actually a real picture of the meadows where we camp at. So when I played the beginning of this video, you're gonna see Poison Meadows where we camp, and that's was behind our camp spot. Now I am gonna fix up the video and maybe shoot it out tomorrow after Anthony's show. You know, just drop it tomorrow as its own thing, but I'm going to add some things to it, make it better. This was just for this show, for the battle. So we camp every year at Poison Meadows and on a camping trip. Well, you know what? Here, I'm just going to play the video. And like I said, I made this in an hour last night, so it's not professionally done. I made it. So hopefully you guys will like this video. If not, I don't blame you. And I'll take myself out so you have the full size of it, okay? 1984. I hopefully I did a good enough job that you guys kind of get an idea on our encounter. Here we go. Right there. That's Poison Meadows. We camp. That's where we have open meadows. We love it right here because we can see animals come out. There's parts of this meadow where there's water. So, all right, we're going to let it rip. In 1984, in September, during one of our hunting trips, we were, camping normal, nothing out of the ordinary. We were, we got up in the morning, we make our breakfast, then everybody's checking their gear, making sure they have whatever they needed for our for hunting trip that day. Half the team go on foot, and the other half, we go in a vehicle. And during our trip, what we do is we have a plan where half the people go on foot to deer hunt, but to hopefully maybe they could flush the deer out to the road part where we're going to meet up at a certain time of day. It doesn't always work, but sometimes it does work. But regardless, we were just, normal hunting trip, nothing out of the ordinary. We meet up at a place where there's a lot of rocks. We don't change spots. We meet up at the same place where the people in the vehicle meet up with the people who are on foot. And we do that to make sure that everybody's accounted for, everybody's there. And then once everybody's accounted for, everybody's there, everybody's safe. We'll eat real quick, a little snack. And then we all get in the vehicle and we drive back to our camp. And by that time, it's about 4 or 5 miles away. Nothing crazy, nothing out of the ordinary. But this night, wasn't night yet, but we're driving back on the road because you're not allowed to hunt at night. So, we're a family that follow the rules dramatically, automatically. We don't change. We follow the rules the way they're meant to be. Well, during our drive back, and we drive slow just in case the deer comes out, because it's not dark yet. Hey, you never know when the luck of the shot's gonna come. But we heard noises, nothing crazy. We're like, noises. Everybody's like looking around, like, what is that noise? What is that crackling? Well, I remember we're just driving, and then we heard the noise that stuck with me for the rest of my life. My Uncle Johnny going, "What the fuck is that?" And we all turned our heads. Everybody turned their heads, and there it was, right there. A Bigfoot, over 7 feet tall, light brown color, just staring at us right there. And there was a total of 11 of us all seeing this thing. And I remember another person was like, "That's not a bear. That's," we're like, "Is that Bigfoot?" All right, and everybody's getting out of the cars. Everybody stopped the cars because, it was 1984. Nobody had phones. Nobody had cameras and none of that kind of stuff. We all got out of the cars. And then the Bigfoot starts to take off, starts to walk off into the woods. All the young people grab their weapons, not to shoot, but, hey, you're going to play safe, right? They all got the weapons. We all start taking, we'll start going down the woods, start following this thing fast as we can. And we're looking at it. It's going fast. It's going. And we're trying to get, we're trying to catch up. I was probably like the 5th kid behind. I was 11, so I wasn't 14, 15. They're faster than I was. We're going, because we hear it cracking through the woods, crackling noise, boom, noise. And it didn't make a noise. It makes a noise like a woman screaming on distortion sound coming out of a speaker. It was the most, I don't know how you explain it, but it was a scream you're never going to remember. And we're chasing it, we're going down the road, and then all of a sudden, somehow, there's a tiny bit of a clearing. Gone. It was just gone. But the weird thing about it, at the same time, the noise was gone. There was no noise. It was gone. Well, we all get back in the car, in the vehicle, and we start headed back. While we walked back to the car, we looked for footprints. We couldn't find the footprints. Was dark, but we found all the woods that was cracked. So we all get in the car. We all head back to the camp. We're all sitting around the campfire, talking about what we just saw. And everybody knows that was the Bigfoot. There's nobody second guessing each other. Everybody knew 100% that was the Bigfoot. All right. I made that real quick last night. I made it in an hour. So I'm going to make it where I'm going to put it out on its own, but I'll probably change some footages out of there, but I needed something to go against the Patterson-Gimlin. Like I said, there's come on, guys, let's be honest. There's no story. There is no other Bigfoot story that's going to top the Patterson-Gimlin. They're just not a battle. So that's why if I'm going to do it, I'll use my own story. So where I'm not trying to tell people that my story is more real than their story. Now doing that, let's think about it. Okay. Now, why would the Patterson fake it? I guess you could say to make money, right? The big suit, the big cot, they were out there to make a documentary. What's better than having a documentary to have a real Bigfoot? So there was money involved. And they made money late in the career. When the footage got the footage out, I think it took a long time for the footage to even make $75,000. And of course, you got to split it and all that. And then there was actually, believe it or not, there was legal rights on who owns ownership of the video. There's a lot of look at this stuff. Greg Long reports that in 1978 legal battle settlement, Dave controlling rights, 51% of the film footage, 51% of the video cassette rights, and of 952 frames of the footage. Patty Patterson had 100% of all TV rights and 49% of rights in the film footage. But and he bought out Gimlin, who himself have received nothing. Now this is interesting. Gimlin has received nothing from Patterson and Mason and the Redford promised to part off by profits by Patterson. Had nothing to show for their investments efforts. The film is in the public domain in the United States as it was published without a copyright notice. Between 1964 and 1977, all works in the United States require such a notice as they enter public domain. So it took a long time to, I guess you could say, for to even be profitable. And the story goes that in a lot of ways for the Patterson-Gimlin, it was horrible for the family for 20, 30 years. Nobody believed them. It wasn't all glory for that group, but nowadays, they make good money out of it. It is profitable now. In the beginning, it wasn't profitable. Now, and there's few of them. Now here on my story, you don't got a few. You have 11 people who know they saw the Bigfoot. And you can also say that not one person out of our 11 group has ever made money off of this. Not one person. There's no books. There's no shows. There's nothing. We treat it as we finally saw what our parents were talking about, because we all heard stories from our family telling us about the Bigfoot, and they all tell those stories about, they had encounters of the Bigfoot. And it wasn't for us to say we didn't believe their stories, because we did believe their stories. But before our encounter, it's like the stories they told us was probably exaggerated. You know what I mean? Like, okay, they saw a Bigfoot. Okay. Oh, he was really 7 foot. The Bigfoot was probably more 5 feet. You know what I mean? We were at a point where it was just exaggeration of the story. That's how we look at it. So when we had our encounter, it was more of, for us, like, holy Christ, they weren't exaggerating. The way they described the Bigfoot exactly how they said it was. So for us, it was a justification of the stories they told us, that they weren't just saying things, exaggerating the truth. They were actually telling us the truth about their encounter. So none of us, not one person in our family, has ever profited or made money from it. So in one way, you can say the Patterson finally made money off of it. So there was a reason. We didn't. So why would all 11 lie? I mean, is it possible? Listen, well, I mean, I know the family, but is it possible? Listen, yes, there's groups that lie all the time. People lie all the time. We know this. Stories are lied, or they're very, very exaggerated, right? You pull the Zach. Basically, a lot of people have pulled the Zach. So, is that enough for our encounter to top the Patterson? Probably not, because at the end of the day, the Patterson has the money shot. It has the money shot. And I feel comfortable saying that I probably over 90% of everybody in the Bigfoot community believes that's the Holy Grail. That's the real deal. I think all of you probably believe, and I'm sure there's going to be percentages of people who don't believe. I'm talking about people in the Bigfoot community. We know people in the outside world, majority of them don't believe in that footage at all. We know that. I'm talking about the Bigfoot community. I think it's safe to say that over 90% of people believe that's the real story. So in that way, I'm looking at the voting now. 30 votes, 77% says Patterson versus the 23% says the Wood family. And I appreciate the 23%. But for me, the bigger story is the Wood family. My family. We were documentaries. Nobody in my family were going to make a documentary. So we would have no exact reason to me to fake something. Would not have no reason. No reason at all. Technically, on the Patterson side, I feel like, even though I don't think it's a fake, they had a bigger reason to fake something over us. Because they were making a documentary. They're going to show the world. They were going to show fucking nobody. This is just a story that we tell our kids at a camp spot. You know? What did I tell? I've done a YouTube channel where where I was at a point where, you know what? We can't share stories here because this is what's about, sharing stories and hearing everybody else's encounters, you know? So so for myself, for our family, there was never a reason for us to go to the normal public. For what? We all had common sense. We all knew the regular public was never going to believe it. So, we tell the stories over campfires, like another story, and I'm sure that our kids will say our story is exaggerated until they have their own encounter. Now I'm hoping, because there's no show coming up on Monday, because we're going to be spending 3 days in the Olympic Mountains up in Washington. We're camping out in the Olympic Mountains. We're leaving Saturday morning, and we're camping out in the Olympic Mountains. Me, my son, my daughter's going to have my daughter's going to be the camera work, and I've got my camera light for nighttime in the mail yesterday. I got the equipment. So we're actually going Bigfoot hunting this weekend in the granddaddy of all Bigfoot areas, where they say that the Olympic Mountains is the most hottest the hottest Bigfoot community in the whole damn world, right there in the Olympic Mountains. I've never discovered a Bigfoot out there in the Olympic Mountains, but maybe my 3 days out there, maybe you can catch something. Because I want my kids to have their experience, to say, oh my God, Dad, you weren't kidding. You are right. That's what, it's not about me catching something and showing the world. I could give a fuck what the world thinks of what, if I caught something. I could care less. I want it for my kids. I want them to know that it's true and exists. And I know they believe me, but you don't truly believe a story unless you can witness it yourself. You know what I mean? The Bigfoot story itself, it's not true unless you're there to be 100%. And I want my kids, I don't know what's going to take to make them 100% believers. But I hope on this trip, and listen, we could go on this trip and catch absolutely nothing. It's true. It's true. And I hope we do. Uncle Bones wrote, Washington's a great spot. Yes. Yes, it's supposed to be the granddaddy of all Bigfoots. I mean, this state of Washington mascot is the Sasquatch. The state's mascot is the Sasquatch. When we had the Seattle Supersonics, their mascot was the Sasquatch. So the Sasquatch is very huge within the folklore stories, the mythology of the state of Washington. In fact, it is considered manslaughter if you kill Bigfoot. It is considered manslaughter. Now, I don't know why somebody want to shoot one unless it's attacking you. If they would actually take you out of prison for shooting a Bigfoot, I'm sure you could probably just say it was attacking you. But there is a law that you cannot kill a Bigfoot. The first UFO I saw changed my entire life. And you know what? Hold on, I want to bring up the comment. We got a few minutes here. For some people, it takes an event to change their life. And there's some people who were believers even without actually seeing something. You know, before we had our encounter with the Bigfoot, we were already believers in the Bigfoot. We were already taught that Bigfoot was real. So now it's probably easy to say that after we had our encounter, we knew at 100% that it's real, because if that encounter didn't happen, you know, could we be as passionate as we are now? I guess we'll never know, because that's hard to say if you're passionate if we didn't have that sighting. I feel that passionate because even before we had the paranormal paranormal of Gettysburg, which I'll probably do that as another battle I'll kind of do the same thing with the video and kind of do that with another battle. So, you know, Bigfoot backstrap tastes amazing. A bit served through like a beer meat. So it's hard to say, you know, will we have the same passion? And I personally believe we do. So, well, guys, let's check the final vote. Let's see. Here we go. 74% says the Patterson film or the Patterson story is bigger than the Wood Family Sasquatch Encounter. 74% to 26%. All right. We lost. But guys, we can't leave without having some fun. I hope we're having fun already. Look at the Patterson Bigfoot. Look at my Bigfoot. Mine looks more like a devil face Bigfoot. If the Patterson Bigfoot got in a fist fight in a ring with the Wood Family Encounter Bigfoot, who would win in the ring fight? Gotta have some fun here. So if you think the Patterson Bigfoot would win that fight, put 1. If you think the Wood Family Encounter Bigfoot would win the fight, put 2 in the chat. Now remember, when you saw the footage of the Patterson, he was running away like a little bitch. He was running away. And the Patterson, right. You know. So, all right. JoJo says the Woods family is going to beat up the Patterson vote. Danny Stanton says we're going to take the uppercut on this. Anthony says we're going to take the uppercut to the fight. Bob says the Wood Family Bigfoot would take the uppercut. Dina P says we're gonna take the uppercut because my Bigfoot does look more of this. So your Bigfoot looks like a horror movie monster. Listen, when I was making this video yesterday, I had to I had to make it short. And guys, there was a recording Bob, Danny, and I did try to recreate this story, but it was really long. For this show, I had to crush it down for 4 minutes. So I just told the story. But that's it. So guys, I want to appreciate you guys for being here. Remember, tomorrow I don't do a show on Wednesdays. Wednesday at 9:00, I like to relax, kick back, and watch Unidentified S4 Anthony's channel. I like to kick back in my chair and watch his channel. And I'll probably revamp the video that I did here since I'll have more time and put the video to make its own thing. So I'll make a few changes. So like Danny says, instead of showing a guy with a sword running after the Bigfoot, maybe you guys have some footages of a good clip that I'm allowed to use to revamp my video and put it out. So beyond that, I appreciate every single one of you. I won't do a show this Thursday. I haven't decided exactly on what the battle is going to be because I'm getting ready for this big Bigfoot camping trip that we're doing this Saturday. So that's taking up all my time. We're getting our gear ready and we're getting our stuff ready. I got my special camera lighting in. So beyond that, what I'm going to do is, since I'm a few minutes early to leave, I'm just going to end the show by playing my video again. I'll just play it, and that'll be the end of the show. And while that's playing, I'll talk to you guys in the chat. And I appreciate every single one of you for being here. Listen, I wasn't dumb. Listen, there was no video story that's going to beat the Patterson-Gimlin. There's not. World Bigfoot Radio said it yesterday. There's not one story that would beat the Patterson-Gimlin. So that's why I decided to do my own video, because I knew any other story would just be a joke. It would just be a joke. But at least this gave me an opportunity to put my story together and all that, and I'll try to revamp it, put it on its own. So beyond that, I'll play the video one more time, and I'll talk to you guys in the chat. 1984, in September, during one of our hunting trips, we were, camping normal, nothing out of the ordinary. We were, we got up in the morning, we make our breakfast, then everybody's checking their gear, making sure they have whatever they needed for our for hunting trip that day. Half the team go on foot, and the other half we go in a vehicle. And during our trip, what we do is we have a plan where the half the people go on foot to deer hunt, but to hopefully maybe they could flush the deer out to the road part where we're going to meet up at a certain time of day. It doesn't always work, but sometimes it does work. But regardless, we were just, normal hunting trip, nothing out of the ordinary. We meet up at a place where there's a lot of rocks. We don't change spots. We meet up at the same place where the people in the vehicle meet up with the people who are on foot. And we do that to make sure that everybody's counted for, everybody's there. And then once everybody's counted for, everybody's there, everybody's safe. We'll eat real quick, a little snack. And then we all get in the vehicle and we drive back to our camp. And by that time, it's about 4 or 5 miles away. Nothing crazy, nothing out of the ordinary. But this night, wasn't night yet, but we're driving back on the road because you're not allowed to hunt at night. So we're a family that follow the rules dramatically, automatically. We don't change. We follow the rules the way they're meant to be. Well, during our drive back, and we drive slow just in case the deer comes out, because it's not dark yet. hey, you never know when the luck of the shot's gonna come. But, you know, we heard noises. Nothing crazy. We're like, noises, you know? Everybody's like looking around. Like, what is that noise, you know? What is that crackling? Well, I remember we're just driving, and then we heard the noise that stuck with me for the rest of my life. My Uncle Johnny going, what the fuck is that? And we all turned our heads. Everybody turned their heads. And there it was, right there. A Bigfoot, over 7 feet tall, light brown color, just staring at us right there. And there was a total of 11 of us all seeing this thing. And I remember another person was like, that's not a bear. That's, you know, we're like, is that Bigfoot? All right, and everybody's getting out of the cars. Everybody stopped the cars because, you know, it was 1984. Nobody had phones. Nobody had cameras and none of that kind of stuff. We all got out of the cars. And then the Bigfoot starts to take off, starts to walk off into the woods. All the young people grab their weapons, not to shoot. But, you know, hey, you're going to play safe, right? They all got the weapons. We all start taking, you know, we'll start going down the woods, start following this thing fast as we can. And we're looking at it. It's going fast. It's going. And we're trying to get, we're trying to catch up. I was probably like the 5th kid behind. You know, I was 11, so I wasn't 14, 15. They're faster than I was. You know, we're going, because we hear it cracking through the woods, crackling noise, boom, noise. And you know, it didn't make a noise. It makes the noise like a woman screaming on distortion sound coming out of a speaker. It was the most, I don't know how you explain it, but it was a scream you're never going to remember. And we're chasing it, we're going down the road, and then all of a sudden, somehow, there's a tiny bit of a clearing. Gone. It was just gone. But the weird thing about it, at the same time, the noise was gone. There was no noise. It was gone. Well, we all get back in the car, in the vehicle, and, you know, we start headed back. You know, while we walked back to the car, we looked for footprints. We couldn't find the footprints. It was dark, but we found all the woods that was cracked. So we all get in the car. We all head back to the camp. We're all sitting around the campfire, you know, talking about what we just saw. And everybody knows that was the Bigfoot. There's nobody second guessing each other. Everybody knew 100% that was the Bigfoot.